Hello, welcome back. It's the latest episode of the LPA Podcast. My name's Sean Woolley. I'm Managing Director of Cloud9 Spain, on the committee of the LPA as well for my sins. And first of all, just before we start this one, I want to thank the good people at Invoga for the use of their lovely office. But they could have told us about the noise, couldn't they? Now, there's a little bit of background noise. Apologies if it interferes with the quality of our podcast today. There's a little bit of knocking and banging and drilling going on, which is driving us mad, but hopefully our amazing videographer will be able to somehow isolate it. Anyway, let's get cracking. We are here today to talk about the differences between estate agency on the Costa del Sol and estate agency back in a domestic market. We're going to use London quite a bit because of our guests here today. With us, we have Chris Vent, who is the director at Winkworth Spain. And for those of you who don't know actually, I'll get you to talk about Winkworth. And we also have Mia Pearlman, who is managing director at Fine and Country on the Costa del Sol. So thanks, guys, for being here and for offering your input onto this. One of the reasons I wanted to do this episode was because we get asked a lot, and I'm sure you do, by buyers and vendors, how much money do you charge? What commissions do you charge? And when we start telling them, they go, oh, hang on a minute, I only pay 1% in England and blah, 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 blah. And you kind of then have to justify why your fees are as they are. And I just thought it would be good for people to know the differences. We're not in a domestic market. We're not in a high street market where you put an advert in the local rag, sit back and wait and go and get a few listings. Sure. This is a different market. So, guys, I think I'll start with you, Chris. Just explain who you are and your relationship with Winkworth.
Okay, so I've opened the Winkworth franchise here probably 11 years ago now. My dad's always been part of the Winkworth group in the UK as a franchisee. He's had multiple offices, and at the moment my brothers currently own together as a family, we own one franchise in London, in Southeast London, and the one here, which is
okay. So you as a family are really well placed to advise on both sides, the differences. Because I asked you earlier before we came in, I said, where would you prefer to be if you had the choice? And I think you plumped for here.
Yeah, for me, definitely here. When we opened the office here, we had an option: either go to London and open an office there, or work in the office there, or open one here. And me growing up here from the age of 2, it was always going to be here. Right. I enjoy being here and stuff like that. My brothers have now realised, after working in a very competitive London market, and which we'll talk about later in terms of running costs and how busy it is and that there is actually obviously now I want to move back to Spain and open up an office here or work with me, for example. It's a very ferocious market in London, as you know, and stuff like that, and it's very different to, let's say, agency here.
Mia, what would you say people don't understand about this market? So when they come from London, or they come from maybe a little village in Oxfordshire or anywhere, actually, it doesn't have to be in England, but what do we need to remind people about what we do and how different it is here?
Yeah, I mean, when do you mean the client or the vendor?
Both, really. Just how it differs.
Yeah, I mean, it differs hugely here because here we are a tour guide essentially, and we are in the same classification as a lawyer. Believe it or not, a real estate agent is in the same classification as a policeman and a lawyer.
I think so too.
You are obliged to do all of the documentation of KYC, anti-money laundering, and all of the process that comes with verifying a client, verifying somebody that's sending money. So for a start, we have that weight on our shoulders, but more so when somebody comes here, they need advice on the coastline. They need advice on different sub areas and price points, and then where the nearest coffee shop is and where the best schooling,
hospitals, everything.
It's a complete lifestyle purchase. Whereas in the UK, obviously there's Fine and Country offices, many of them in the UK. My brother is an independent in the centre of London, and there are times when the agent doesn't turn up for the viewing in England. That is they can arrange the viewing and the buyer will go directly to that property and see that house. It's not always accompanied by an agency in London. It is most of the time, but there's definitely times where you would have your buyer going to the property they want to view without an agent. Whereas here, that would just never happen. No. Your buyers, you're picking them up from the hotel. You're spending the day with them.
So it's hand-holding all the way.
It's hand-holding, it's advice giving. I mean, you're talking to that buyer through the whole process. I think that's where people get confused, because if they're selling their property in London, and I believe it's quite difficult to even get a 1.5% fee at this point, because
Right. What, from the vendors? They won't pay it?
in England and London, that the 2% days are pretty much gone.
Gone. On average, it's 1 to 1.5.
Yeah.
That's on average. And then you do have sort of smaller, more independently owned businesses who are now charging 0.7 and 0.8.
To win the business.
Win the business, but effectively takes them out of the market completely because there's no profit to be made on that sort
once
of
you've made your listing on Rightmove,
there we go.
and Zoopla and your likes, you've used up that profit.
But in terms of being a real estate agent, say in a town outside London or Oxford or whatever, if I'm an estate agent, I go and get a listing and I stick it in my shop window, I stick it on Rightmove, and I might stick it in the local paper.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it.
That's effectively it. If you sort of...
And I'm relying on people to come past my shop window or find me on Rightmove and come and arrange a viewing.
Yeah. We do a registration sheet out of our office in London every month, for example, of where the leads come from. So really, our sheet is Rightmove, Zoopla, and walk-in.
Yeah.
Right. So I looked last night at the month of July, for example. Rightmove in the month is, for example, had 100 leads for sales and 75 leads for lettings. Zoopla a little bit less, 50 and 40. And walk-ins were 111 walk-ins in the month of July for sales, and another 75 walk-ins for lettings. So you're talking about 200 people in and out of your door.
Wow.
For that,
That's incredible.
That is incredible, isn't
it?
But that is a local market, isn't it? It's like if you live in that area and you want to buy a house, or you live in another area and you want to buy a house in that area, you'd go down the high street, wouldn't you?
Yes.
On a Saturday morning when you're not working, you go down and you pop in, have a look at the window. That looks nice.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go in. And you do this and again and again and again. Yeah. It's a completely different way of working, isn't it?
And here, for example, you can do 6 viewings in a day, right? And you go, that's a good day. I've done 6 viewings. In our office there, for sometimes we do sort of 6 viewings in about an hour and a half. And we say to the clients, we've got 15-minute slots between each property, and you're in 15 minutes and move on to the next one, like that. And it goes like that. And it does, on average, sell probably at the end of the day. It does sell on the first day or second day.
Is that due to the nature of the market?
Nature of the market.
So it's not necessarily the whole of the UK or Europe. It's just in a hot market.
There's a necessity to live, for example. There you have to find a property. You need a roof over your heads. You need your kids going to the local school, etc., etc. Here, there's always, I don't need my holiday home just yet. I can wait another 6 months. I can wait another 12 months, stuff like that. So it's
a discretionary purchase, isn't it?
Yes.
I think a lot of people would like to have a place here, but they don't need one. Not many do.
One. And in London, if it doesn't tick all the boxes, on average, they're still probably going to take it anyway.
Yeah.
Where here, if they're spending the time, they're doing it, they want that property to tick 99% of the boxes.
And if not, they'll come back in 3 months.
They'll come back in 3 months and have another look, see what's come on the market. So
I remember doing a little stint of 3 months in a London agency, and they said, right, we want you to go on this valuation. And I went along to this house, and it looked like a great house. And the vendor was showing me around this property. And at this point, I knew there was a vast difference between the real estate market in England and the real estate market here. She walks me through the hallway and she says, let's start here. She opens the cupboard and she points at the boiler. And she says, new boiler. And I went, right.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you can put that on your list. Because that is a selling point.
That's a selling point.
Right? A new
light bulbs.
Light bulbs, new boiler. Coving.
Blue roll holder.
We don't do coving out here, but in England they have coving. Right? Yeah. And I thought to myself, wow, okay, I need to raise my mind here, because I need to start from a blank page, because what is of value in a property here, we don't even think about out here.
No, here it's...
Because we're painting a picture, aren't we? All the time. Yeah. We are creating this lifestyle, and the house is, or the property is just a part of it, isn't it? It's like what you said, you show them where the coffee shops are, you show them where the tennis clubs and the schools.
I don't even know if it's got a boiler half the time.
I know, they take me into those technical rooms. It's like,
I don't know how you get hot water in these properties. It's just hot.
It just happens.
Just touching on the topic of valuations as well, so over there, you'll get 3 high street agents to come around to your property and value it. There's normally a difference of about 5, 10 or 15,000 pounds, between each valuation. Whereas in Spain here, we find a lot which drives me mad is often they are hundreds of thousands in difference. A lot of the time, the vendor or the seller or the owner has dictated that price themselves. And there's just no rhyme or reason. There's no sort of structure to it at all, that's one part of the UK agency that I do like compared to here, where it's just...
I think in the
UK,
UK,
market any price.
In the UK, you've got that historical data, haven't you? You know exactly what price that property sold for 2 years ago. Yeah, and that's incredibly powerful. Here, we haven't got a clue.
Well, I have a bit of breaking news.
Oh my word!
There we go.
Come on.
Because I just want to carry the theme on, because our podcasts have breaking news.
Yeah.
We can now search past property prices.
Correct.
Yes. So all notarized transactions are now for public viewing.
Is that available now?
It's available. I was on it yesterday.
And what's it
I
like?
was on it last night. I couldn't tell you the name right now. I screenshotted it in case, but I can't remember.
Fantastic. We're going to send it out later.
Yeah.
It's
Great.
really interesting and more to the point. Probably they couldn't do this in Spain 20 years ago because there was a different way of buying a property. There was little separate rooms in notaries, weren't there, for different payments and things. Apparently.
Really?
I don't know.
No idea.
But that's what I've heard. And now everything is very much documented. Everything is completely above board and there is no hiding. Everything is verified. But for us as agents and for even consumers, they can go on now and see that sold that, that sold that. And somebody said to me yesterday, do you think that clients will have a problem if they can see that somebody's made X amount of money on something?
Potentially, yes. That's a good question. But
I think clients are more concerned about their properties being either undervalued or massively overvalued, aren't they?
yeah, which is an issue because next door might have sold for 18 million. So you think now yours is worth 18 million. That's one issue that you're going to face as well.
And I think, in the villa market here, it's very difficult because they are so, every house is different and every house has different qualities and a different feel to it and different view, different location. It's not like a terraced house or an apartment, which is easier to value. Just to go back to the UK situation. So in the UK, it's a completely different model. You basically list and then rely on local networking and Rightmove to do your marketing.
Portals and walk-ins and stuff like that.
So your marketing costs are fairly low.
Marketing costs are actually quite high. So, for example, in terms of the portals, for sure. So, for example, here, I might spend €2,000 a month on Rightmove.
Yeah.
In London, we're paying £30,000 a month for Rightmove, something like
Just
that.
for one branch?
Just for one branch. That sort of.
And typically in London, most real estate agents have about 30, 40 listings. Is that right? It
depends, yes, of course.
It's not really like, we've got like hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds of each.
It's not like that in the UK. They just have their local network of properties, could be 15 or 20.
Yeah.
So there is that cost factor for them with the right, but Rightmove is really the only thing.
Rightmove is the one that really works.
Zoopla
sort of second, but not that close to Rightmove, and then of course.
Whereas we have to go so far afield, we have to go internationally on that market. So you take on a 2-bedroom apartment, you've got no hope if you're just putting it on the local network.
If I'm putting it into Guadalajara, my little commercial centre, it's not going to work. I need to targeted ads around the world, special portals around the world, SEO and PPC, things like that, all to cover every base.
So the difference is we have to market to a global audience. Whereas in a local market in the UK or wherever, you're advertising to a predominantly local market, aren't you? Maybe a bit of referrals to other agencies and stuff, but we have to advertise worldwide.
Yeah.
That's going to cost. So what do we have to do? In terms of listing a property, we have photographs, we have videos, we have drone videos.
Most of the time at no cost, by the way, to the buyer.
Yes, to the vendor. We cover those
in
costs
England,
as well.
they pay normally up front for photographs and extras and things like that. Whereas here, we take it on the chin. We might sell it and we might not.
That's part of our service.
And if we lose that listing or somebody else sells it because it might not be exclusive, our cost,
€200 gone.
So
you can do about a couple of thousand on a listing before you even put it out there.
Before it's even out there, and you find out they sold it to the next door neighbour.
Yes.
And that is demoralising sometimes.
It is. So what do we also need to do? We also need to get it out there. So we need to get it out there to our direct clients. So that's global audience. So that's portals, that's your websites, that's Google AdWords, it's Meta ads, it's God knows
social
what.
media, your videos, your
YouTube,
drone videos.
And all of that costs money. And then you've got a secondary audience, which is your collaborating agents. You've got to get it out to them, which means you've got to be members of all the platforms. You've got to share that information. You've got to give them deals, incentivizing them to.
You've got to give them their 50% at the end of the day as well.
Like you with your low commission. But so that all cuts into your margin as well. And people don't see that. People think, oh my God, you're charging whatever it is, 4%, 5%, 6%. That's all going in your pocket.
But
it's not.
It's really not.
The first thing to explain to any vendor or buyer is, by the way, we are probably going to split this fee with another agency.
Yeah.
So immediately we're down to 2.5%, which isn't that far away from what you pay in the UK.
Correct.
It's just in the UK, you're waiting for that client to come directly to that real estate agency, and you're being signed up as an exclusive, so you can't move for 6 months until you can get out and go to somebody else. Whereas with me, you're going to go on with me and everybody's going to have access to your
Everyone's
property.
gonna have access to it.
But because of that, I'm going to give half of my fee away
Yeah.
because we want to get you a buyer.
Yeah.
So that justification immediately brings it down a level, I find.
90% of the listings in the UK are direct and are exclusive, and you do not share with other agents on the high street.
No.
There's huge competition. And the competition goes down to even who has the most boards up in that area, who has the most agents running around, and who does the most view. It's all these different aspects that, the competition there is very fierce in that sense.
Is it fair to say, we've talked about the element of tour guide and stuff like that, the fact that, it's offering a real service from beginning to end. Are people or agents in the UK simply door openers? Or is there more to it than that?
There's a lot more to it than that. There's a big
Am I
personality.
being really unfair?
Really unfair, I'd say. I mean, I'm not protecting, let's say, like our business in the UK, my brother's business there, but it is unfair. There's a lot of work involved in being a UK.
Well, not just saying there's the boiler.
Well, the thing, no, because there's legislation.
got a
There's
boiler.
legislation in London.
Legislation, all the legislation.
Of course, my brothers are taking all their exams at the moment. They've got all their qualification stuff. Even the juniors in the office are currently taking their tests.
Yeah, but you don't have to be regulated in the UK to be a real estate agent.
You should be, and you should be.
You should be, but it's not required by law.
Not required by law, is what I understand. But here, I think is one of the big steps, which is what the LPA is trying to do, and what these sort of podcasts are discussing, is it should be legislated down here. Not legislated fully in terms of, but it needs some form of qualification, let's say, and sort of bring it out of this.
Okay. The problem with agents in the UK, and this is what I've never really understood, and I've had this debate with many people, is that, you have a great client walk into your office in Chigwell or wherever, and they say, I want to go and see that house. Yeah, great, come and see that house. You can't offer them anyone else's stock.
No, you can't.
So you're saying goodbye to that client, that amazing client. You're basically, you might as well take him around the corner and say, here's
what you do want.
Go and have a look in there. And it's so frustrating. And I love that about this place, is that you can form a relationship with a client, and if they like you and want to work with you, you can really work together.
Yeah.
But in England, I don't think I'd be able to survive that. I'd have to burn their offices down.
It is
This
really
is why it's so competitive.
cutthroat,
there. So cutthroat. Honestly, it really is.
But they have started this multi-listing service thing in London now.
More central London, I think.
Yeah, it is more central London.
Yeah.
And then they've got this double exclusive now, where two agents are getting it exclusively, and then one gets 40%, one gets 60%. There is a movement happening there for sure.
There is a change in that.
But with that should come a commission increase.
Of course.
Because absolutely, if the client comes to you and then you have the ability to go and find them that property, that's why property finders are charging separately on top of the fee. So then you're up to 3.5%.
Yeah.
Oh, you might as well come and buy in Spain.
But then there's no difference. In fact, we're on 2.5%. They're getting 3.5%.
London agents or ex-London agents now becoming property sort of finders and buyers and coming down here and coming to my office. And one thing they do is, we don't want any of your fee. We're charging our buyer. Fine, okay, that's great. So we've done a few recently with a lady in it, and it does work. But they're starting to branch out a little bit from that sort of closed-minded UK form of market. Now it's opening up a bit.
Do the numbers work in the UK? I mean, obviously you've got direct experience of this with your family's involvement. You must still have to do an awful lot of volume at 1% or
more so because of the time frame it takes to get a British sale through the door.
Yeah, well, you look at between exchange and completion, for example.
You must
here,
have a massive admin team.
There's over 15 or 18 staff in the office in London, but if you think about it, it's
almost as many as you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, here we've got deposits, right? So when you find a property, you can reserve it, etc., and you go through the process of then paying 10% and then it completing. In the UK, you have so there's no deposit. Exchange can take from say 2 months to a year. And then if nothing happens at that point, it falls through and no one's sort of cutting it.
The lets I understand, because we've started a rental company and I'm just dumbfounded at how quickly people go and let a property. I mean, when you list a property out here, if you're doing the door opener side of it, and another agent is bringing the client to you and you're simply opening the door, I've counted that you've got to open that door about 25 times. Right, before you can get a deal over the line. But with a let, you open it 2 times, because if the first person doesn't take it, the second person takes it. So that I see. Do you mean somebody that says, I want to buy that property, does that count as one?
No.
You're talking about signings.
Actually has to exchange.
Wow.
That's insane.
Because in the UK we get paid on exchange. You don't get paid on completion like we do here.
Right.
So that has to exchange. So sometimes we have these hugely inflated pipelines, right? Because you've got all of these, and then then it gets to a point where it's about cashing that pipeline and getting everyone to exchange. So in the UK, you even have to employ a sort of sales progressor.
Yes.
who literally sits at the back of the office and
That's
spends
vital. Yeah.
vital all day long chasing solicitors, chasing people,
Surveys
and chasing chains, because you get chains of 8, 9, 10, 12 chains, right, and someone might fall through in between it, and then it takes the whole bottom out of it.
Now
and,
I pay homage to real estate agents in the UK.
I know, because there's so many
hard
things
work.
that can go wrong.
There are so many things that can go wrong, but that is a machine what you've got going on there.
And if you think about it as well, when you're buying property in the UK, there's a lot more hoops. There's sort of council checks. There's environmental checks.
Yeah.
There's surveys.
Yeah,
There's
surveys.
this, there's that.
Surveys are the big
If there's
one, yeah.
Japanese knotweed growing within a mile of the house, that's an option that you've got to be something you've got to look at.
No,
Japanese
I know.
knotweed.
No,
That's good for anyone,
there's a
that.
lot of things you need. There's a lot of hoops you need to sort of run. It's a very hard business, very profitable business in the UK, but a lot of work. It's a completely different animal.
I'm surprised
over
there's
there.
that many buyers going on at the moment in that industry, because all I hear from my counterparts in London and surrounding areas, because there's 330 fine and country offices, 300 are in England, and all of them say the pace is a little bit slower than they'd like, and it's a real challenge. Even my brother, you know, I said this to somebody in my team the other day. I'm on the phone to him and I'm like, what are you? Oh, I'm on FaceTime, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm sending out letters to get listings. So I'm like, but you've got, you know, those stick-on eyes that you get for children that have got the dot in the middle and they move about. So he's got a letter saying, would you like to list? And on the envelope of the personalised address, he's put 2 googly eyes on it. So I'm like, what? I'm sorry.
Don't be trying that here.
What's going on? I'm so confused. And he's saying, well, you've got to think outside the box, Mia. You can't just deliver a letter to somebody's door, even though it's got their name, address, and it's a personalised letter. You've got to do something that makes them pick that up. And the other thing that they did was he printed Post-it notes that stuck to the door saying, would you like to list your property? I mean, genius in one respect. But that's what I hear about the market, how they're trying to, you know, it's so competitive. They're trying to like.
So when I start seeing Post-it notes on villas around here, I'll know who's responsible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know this.
Here's been up with a Post-it notes.
But
it's fascinating. This it really is, because you look at the numbers and you think, how the heck do those numbers work? When you're doing that sort of volume,
it's volume. I mean, you're a volume agent down here. I'm not necessarily a volume agent at all. I'm very sort of a smaller base business. But you know that volume, of course, is possible here. I don't, you know. It's not probably quite like the UK or London, but
and probably less so, because the prices have obviously gone up here, haven't they? Now your entry level's probably 300,000 euros.
You could buy something for 200, 300 back then. Now it's quite difficult. You know?
And what about conversion rates? Does that come into how we price our service? Because obviously here we're dealing with a discretionary market. It's not somewhere that people, like you say, they're not somewhere that people have to come and buy. They don't need a roof over their head. They'd like a holiday home, yeah, great, but they don't need one. So it takes us, I guess, longer, and we need more opportunities to convert. Whereas I guess
more
if you're
time on the road,
if you're in a domestic market, that person, their need is immediate and greater. So I guess, is that another reason why we have to charge higher fees, because we're working maybe 5 times harder? Am I clutching
I don't know
at
how far you
straws?
can stretch this out.
Absolutely.
I mean, I admire your perseverance.
Well,
I
I'm
must
just thinking,
say.
if your conversion rate is 20%, let's say.
Yeah.
So for every 5 clients you're taking out, you're going to sell to one of them. And in England, it might be 3 or 4.
Actually, you're on something there, because the thing is, when you've got a listing in the UK, you're almost guaranteed to get a deal on it.
Pretty much, unless it's completely overvalued, which on average it never really is.
But then you just need to wait, and then your vendor's going to bring the price down, and then you're going to sell it.
And the thing with agents, especially in the UK, is if something is overpriced, they just won't list it. They just won't put it on the market. They won't take it on.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they'd rather just have something else which they can sell
Whereas
quite
here,
quickly.
you will sit with
it for
a couple
6
hundred
months.
listings.
Yeah. If you think our exclusives here sometimes 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, stuff like that. In England, there's not really exclusives, but you know, you're sort of, if it's the correctly priced, you're going to get it gone within, within the month, within the week, within the day sometimes.
It's incredible.
Because it is all about the listing in England, isn't it?
It is.
Here, I mean, we work probably similar types of things where we're mainly representing buyers, aren't we? So we're property finders in effect, and we're up and down the coast all day.
Yeah.
And I do admire these people that, like Chris, who lists villas in Guadalmina and apartments in Guadalmina, and then sits there and waits for us agents to come bring the client.
Not necessarily just sits there and waits for you.
Oh, sorry,
the clients.
I was confused.
I have my own little. No, but no, it's we are more of a listing agent more than a sort of.
And most agencies on the coastline are listing agents, and that's fantastic, because it gives people like us a day off, because you think, you don't really have to go and list that, because Chris is going to list it, or Thobil is going to list it, or Home Run, whoever, and they're going to they're going to give more than 50% of their fee to the person.
Well,
yeah, you're on the naughty step. There's always one on the naughty.
I'd like to say, for example, and I think I can use Affinity as or Fine & Country, let's say in this situation as an example, is if, for example, there's 3 or 4 agents that have got a property on the market, Affinity do tend to contact me over the other 3. Because we've had a lot, we've done a few sales, so we had a good relationship, stuff like that. So there's that aspect as well.
Yeah.
With my business here, every single property, because as we're listing, all the paperwork's in order, everything's in the file, everything's there, everything's ready.
And so you know it's a clean listing.
It's clean. If you deal with me, you know it's going to be very clean because everything is immaculate and perfect and valued correctly. That's what I like to say.
Himself up,
I know.
I like to value things correctly.
He is quite good.
He is quite good. I'm not someone who likes
to
sort of have a property sitting there on the market for a long time.
It's tough when you have got property sitting on the market because with Fine & Country, we now take on the mega homes.
Yeah.
You know, we've taken something on in Benavides that's got its own helipad and things like that. What we believe that property is worth and what the owner believes it's worth, we're at 2 different price points.
Yeah.
So we haven't even agreed in the middle. We've gone solely with their price point, right? And I've been very open and honest with them. They're a lovely couple. And I've said, you know, this is such a difficult sale because the price point is so high, but somebody's got to want 65,000 square meters of land.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the new admin job, let's say, of managing your vendor.
Yes, that's a big
and
business.
You know, what's going on? Why hasn't there been any viewings? What, you know, and
you've got to find that buyer. Where the hell is that buyer?
Yeah.
Are they in Dubai or Sydney?
Because
or
there's probably an Arabic buyer for this because of the privacy and the type of property it is. So
but there's no point putting it in Sir in English, is there?
No, of course not. You've got to go out, but then you've got to phone your contacts up as well, you know. And I'm quite connected with Dubai. I used to work there. I've got a lot of friends there, and it works for me. So I can do things like, so if you've got anybody that wants to be in southern Spain, but they want
send
this,
them over.
And they've got a helicopter.
So the upshot really is that we all work much harder than Chris. And we all work much harder than those guys in the UK, and we earn every cent.
Yeah.
And
of your 5%.
Who? Because obviously you're the one with you both are experience of both markets. Could a salesperson from our businesses go and work in your London office? And would they thrive, or would they just go, "What the heck has happened here?"
So and
vice versa.
Yeah. So we've done this actually. So in the last 10 years, we had sort of sales staff here in Spain that we used to send to London to our office there to see how it's sort of and that's they come back completely shocked because that phone does not stop ringing all day long. And I'm talking 4 or 5 lines going all day long. You know, so they're not used to here. And vice versa, we've had, so for example, at one point we had 2 friends of mine from school who spent 4 or 5 years in our office in London working there from Spanish school, went there, and then they came back here. And of course the pace here is a lot slower. That phone does not ring 100 to 200 times a day. Maybe not in my case, or in your case probably different, but it doesn't do that. So the difference in pace is quite hard. So I think it's a lot harder for an agent in the UK to come here and deal with that slower pace in terms of what they're used to, compared to say someone here wanting to work over in London, improve themselves in that market. I mean, there it's just a case of being quicker, being brighter, being smarter. Here it's really about adapting to the difference in pace.
And can you earn a lot of money being an estate agent in the UK?
Of course you can.
You can.
Yeah, of course.
But you've got to be.
You've got to be very good, top of your game. You've got to be going, and your phone does not stop ringing. It's an 8 till 8 job. You're there at 8 and you're finishing at 8. You're awake in the dark. You go home in the dark. And that's what both my brothers do. They work those hours and they're there every day.
Sounds like a young person.
And it's 6 days a week.
Six?
And often we have to open up some diaries for Sunday.
Wow.
So sometimes you might have.
But then you're pretty much guaranteed a sale. Because
sometimes you can guarantee none, or you can guarantee any on a day.
On Sunday, you're going to sell it.
But exactly. And it's as you list it, often you are taking it straight out the window because you've sold it that same day. But then you do get the vendor at the same time questioning your 1.5% or your 1% because you've just shown the first person they bought it. Then you've got to deal with that as well. They question that.
Of course.
So it's not that easy.
They want to see you're working with money.
But the thing is that you selling it on that first day is from an infrastructure that you've created and you've built. So that's where all that money has gone over the years, you know. So it's not...
One final question for you. I recently inquired about a few properties in England, and the agents are insisting on having a phone call with me to qualify me.
Absolutely.
I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't speak to anyone on the phone. My phone doesn't even work where I live. Everything, you know. And I actually had 4 agents respond for 4 separate inquiries. Well, no, I didn't. One didn't bother. One and two of them insisted on, can you please give me a time to call?
Yeah.
I've tried to contact you.
Yes, this is
No,
interesting, Sean.
I don't want a call.
Right.
I've inquired about the property.
What do you want to do then? You
I
want to do it
want
on
you.
WhatsApp?
I want. Well, this one lady in Marylebone. Because I said on the thing as well. I said,
Marylebone. Are you looking at Marylebone Village?
Yeah. Right, we need
Best
to talk.
place to
I know an agent there, bizarrely.
Really? I thought you might. So so I said on the form, WhatsApp only, please. And she contacted me on WhatsApp one evening, like 7 or 8 o'clock, just after I made the inquiry. I sat there watching EastEnders. And she comes through on WhatsApp. I could see her. Okay, yeah. And she sent me a little voice note. And then she sent the brochure of the property, followed up. I was away. Brilliant.
Right, that is so interesting.
Because that's how I wanted to be communicated with. And those other guys, they might have had the perfect property,
Yeah.
but I want to be communicated with in the way. And it's a UK thing. It's almost like
definitely
we want to
UK thing.
put you on a register.
Yes, of course.
I don't want to be on a register.
You will need to be registered,
Mm.
exactly.
Register.
And they find out absolutely everything about you. So
Yes.
the average registration thing that we fill in, you're talking about ages, you're talking about what they do as jobs,
But
everything.
you've
If they have
got to
dogs,
go to
cats,
10 agents to
dogs,
find your
cats, if
property.
they
I don't want to be on a
everything.
register.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know what I want, and I'll
Yeah.
find it on Rightmove, and then
Yeah. So now in your inquiries, for example, that you receive for your business,
Yeah.
do you not also, so some say, please contact me via email or please contact me via WhatsApp? Did you do that when you registered with them? Please contact me via WhatsApp.
I did actually, yeah.
And they try to call you.
They tried to call me,
It's just a London thing, really. It's just constant calls.
but immediately.
As the inquiry comes in, it's like that.
No, but I mean, immediately that rankles with me. I'm not going to deal with them if they can't even follow a basic instruction on how to contact me.
Of course, that could annoy
That
them.
I think that's maybe because I'm in the business.
Yeah, yeah.
But oh my goodness, it's because we actually rarely have conversations with people these days. Obviously, we like to.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is WhatsApp. A lot of it is video chat.
Yeah.
And God knows.
In
what.
my office, I make sure every single applicant is called as soon as the inquiry comes in. And if they don't answer, you follow up with an email or a WhatsApp saying, just try to call,
Yeah.
this is the information you need and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they might call back and the other times they just reply and carry on doing one.
Yeah.
And then you might get the odd person who wants a video call, which happens now quite a bit.
Yes.
It's
Interesting.
like
Okay. Anything else to add before we obviously need to go and buy a property in Marylebone and
Yeah,
split the costs?
We've got, definitely. We
It's
can,
fine.
we
You
could
got kids,
literally,
I
we
don't
could
want-
do like a timeshare thing, couldn't we?
Timeshare, 6 months on 6
So
months off.
thank you for joining us again. Really appreciate your support. Thank you guys for being here. And I don't even know how long we've gone on for. I feel like we've babbled for hours, but I think we've got a lot sorted. We're staying put. Chris is back to the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. All good. Anyway, thank you again and see you next time.